Mm. Well, what those first days and weeks after that, all that craziness felt like. So the first, you're in a blur. The, the best way to describe it is the Twilight Zone because it's not real. None of it is real. You are not real. They're not real. Situation is not real. None of it is real. Um, it all just feels like you're in a dream or you're in a movie. None of it's real. And people are asking you questions. And you're like, it's like they asked a question off your brain. Do you ever, I'm a sleepwalker, so I don't remember any of it, but people will talk to me when I'm sleepwalking. And um, eventually, if they work hard enough, it'll start to wake me up. It starts to work into your dream. Most people, the alarm. So when you hear the alarm, at first and you're dreaming, the alarm is a bus horn. It's something else, right? Before you start to comprehend, oh, that's my alarm clock. That's what it's like. The first, for sure, the first week, I would say the first 3 months. Um, but like the first week, people are asking, you have to make all these decisions. Do you want the body washed? And you're like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. What are the consequences? I don't even know to ask what are the consequences. So when I tell people, I don't know how so and so just lost somebody, how do I support them? My first response is don't ask them questions. Don't ask them questions. It is beyond their capability to answer a question. So I would have to bring it up enough to be able to bury my child and to go through all that process. I was fortunate. I had sisters that came in and helped. And I remember one time, it's like remembering a dream. Um, One time my sister was dressing me because she's like, you have to try on these dresses for the funeral. And okay. But that was like a command that was beyond my ability because it like wasn't an absolutely necessary command. I don't know like how I was able to answer a lot. It wasn't answering right, but and you're sick. You're sick to your stomach. You do not feel well. Um and and people are talking to you, but you kind of don't know what they're saying. And um but yeah, my sister was addressing me. I did when I look back and I think about that, how did I get dressed? And I remember I had like clothes around the house, and those are just on the floor by the bed, you know? And then you have your clothes that you have to wear to the police department to try to get the thing, to get the phone and the suicide note. Why didn't they even give us a picture of the suicide note? What's wrong with these people? It was just heartless what they did. And then, and then, and then,
So
you have
you
to
didn't, sorry, you didn't get to get the suicidal? No?
not immediately. It was about
Oh, okay.
year.
Okay.
So we eventually got the suicide note. My sister came home from Washington, D.C. She helped me get dressed. And then she gave me the $3,000 to help us move over to a better funeral home that I felt way more comfortable with. And then, um, and she helped me get the phone. So she was the phone cannot be the freak out mother. And I'm okay, I've gone. And we were a mess. Neighbors came in and helped too. Um, they'd be like, "What do you need help with?" And you're like, "I don't know. You just asked me a question." I don't even have enough smartness to say, "I don't know." The brain doesn't work. It's like you are in a dream and somebody's trying to play this other game and you're like, "I no, I'm over here in this dream and you're in that dream." It's not I don't know what you're saying.
Not really this world.
Yeah, somebody had asked me one time, "I'm bringing you dinner. What do you want for dinner?" And I remember my thought process of food. Okay, so, we eat it, eat it. Okay, put it in our mouth. How do you get the grocery store? The grocery store. What do you do? You buy it at the grocery store. I mean, like, the thought of like trying to put like, I want pizza. Like, that was way beyond my ability. And that was a surprising thing to me because I've been through a lot of grief with Roman's death, but but I was in mom mode, Roman's death. I was taking care of my daughter. I was coming to her and saying, Symphony, you have these two choices. I didn't make her choose like what food to eat. I was like, we're having dinner at this time. I would like you to come and eat. Symphony, I'm going to put you in the shower. You know, she had me to do that for her. Symphony, we've narrowed down, like me and the neighbor women and ward members and stuff. And I was like, they're like, how can I help? And I'm like, make fun of you long. And so, I'm like, we've narrowed it down to these two choices. Do you like this option? This option. I tried to make it as simple as possible. But then for me, nobody, you know, I was a grown woman. I was 45 years old. Nobody treated me like a child. And I also didn't, but I didn't know. I was like a child in the idea that your brain just doesn't work. Your brain doesn't work. So asking questions to somebody immediately after is way overwhelming. What can I do to help? Whoa, whoa. It was, and then your house is filled with people, and for whatever reason, I anticipated that a little bit, um, because let's face it, when you have a child with depression like that, she'd been through 6 suicides now, but I was aware of. How many was I not aware? And you plan out their funeral in your head. You think I called it my fire escape plan. And I had already thought about some of these things, like I already had the burial plots. I I don't know why I think of the funeral home. I should have thought of those things, but I didn't. Um, and the anyway, I forget where I was going with that. No,
And this is allowed. It came like a one time that pain, that grief, everything you felt. It was kind of on a wave. Like this week, I was terrible. I couldn't even decide what to eat. Everything wasn't working. Next week or next month, like it hit me again.
no, I would say no. It's not in waves. Um, the first year, it's not real. The first year, she didn't die. She's not. She's on a trip. She will come back later. She's at work. They're not dead. For the first year, they're not dead. And everybody's got this is at a different time span. Maybe it's 3 months for some people, maybe it's a year for some. Um, for me, uh, it was I can tell you the time when I realized that she was dead. And it was about 20 months after she died. It was in September, August, September of 2023. Um, and that's when it started to dawn on me. And that would be in waves. So the realization and in the grief world, the Elizabeth Kubler or whoever, whatever, the stages of grief,
Yeah. It's 5, right?
the 7 now.
Okay.
One of them was the acceptance, and you don't have one and then the other. You have them like all, but it's and it's not steps. When we say calm stages, that's kind of it's implying something that's not actual.
Mm-hmm.
But that was I would get waves of comprehension. So that would be the best way to explain the waves is the waves of comprehension. That I was like, crap, she's dead. And I think when people talk about how the second year is the hardest year, I think that's what they're talking about most of the time is that that's when it becomes reality. First year, 2 years, maybe it's not reality. It's not real. You're still in the dream. It's a twilight zone. I don't know what these people are doing. They're like doing laundry and you're doing laundry too for whatever reason. But then
after, so in the second year, or sometimes third year, that's when I think it started to dawn on me that it was, now I can say she's not coming back, but she's been dead 4 years next. Be dead 4 years. And so that's new in my third year. And so it took me 3 years to be able to say that. I didn't know I couldn't say it at first because I could say she's dead. She's dead. She's dead. But that's one thing to comprehend. She's dead. And another thing to comprehend, she's not coming back. Because in the religion that we grew up in, you're never dead. You're just in the spirit world and we're going to come back. Okay. Yeah. No, not in our comprehension, not in the way that we feel. It's not real for that. So I would say that was the hardest thing about the second year was, and I grappled with that a lot. And the way I dealt with grief was incredibly different than the way my husband dealt with grief. That was, if I was to write a book about grief, I would have to say, I would title it Grief is Weird. I Just Miss Her. Because grief has been, it's just been so weird. Like, 2-3 months afterwards, once I started being able to like speak again, forming thoughts, but my thoughts were like missing pieces. It was like parts of my brain dissolved. And I called it forgetting words. I couldn't remember words. And who knows what that was from, except for when my brother died a year and a half after my daughter died. It was sudden, and he died in a plane crash, and he was 50 years old. And I lost my words again. And so that's when I went, oh, that's a grief thing. Because at first you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like your brain needs time to process.
It like my best description of what it felt like to have my daughter die was in Breaking Bad. I don't know if you guys have seen Breaking Bad. There's a scene in Breaking Bad where they're dissolving a body in acid, and that you have to put it in the right tub, and it eats through the tub, and you hear it creaking and everything, and then it splashes down in the hallway below, and it's just goo everywhere. The tub is goo, the body is goo. It's just sludge splattered everywhere. That's what I felt like happened to me when somebody's like, "Oh, what do you want for dinner?" I'm goo splattered. I don't know where my eyeball is. Like, do I have hands? I remember looking at my hands thinking, hands are weird. What are they doing? I mean, like it was astonishing to me that I still physically had a body when I was the goo splattered all over the hallway. And like to reform that. And that's the thing that 4 years after the fact is you have to learn to get to know yourself again, because when my daughter died, I died with her. That's just part of me. She was sick for so long. I was so involved in her life. She was my life. I love my boys, but they do not need me like my daughter needs me. Like maybe it is a daughter versus something. I don't know. Every relationship is so individual. So I don't have any judgment on anything else. But for me, the worst person to have possibly ever died, Symphony. And it killed me. And it's been fascinating to go through this grief and figure out who I am now. I feel like I'm living in a complete stranger's world. Somebody has implanted me into somebody else's reality. The Spider-Verse, on Spider-Man, and they go into the different universes and it's the same people in different situations. That's what it feels like. And that is not real. It is not real. And I still believe it's real. But I also think that this is the world that I'm in now. This is where I'm in now, and I'm forced to be here. I don't have the same limits my daughter has. I cannot have suicide like she does, because that's just not one of my options. And not that I didn't think about it. Oh, for sure. When somebody comes up to you and says, I could never do that if my child died. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Is this a choice? Do we get a choice? Because no, it's not a choice. Of course, I don't want to be alive if my daughter's dead. Of course. If somebody said you could be dead right now, I'd be like, oh, me, for sure. I would love to be dead right now. But that's not in my cards. I have to be here. Not because I want to be here. It's just that's the way it is. My heart keeps beating. Unbeknownst to me, I keep breathing. I did have heart problems right after she died. And I remember laying in bed feeling like an elephant is crushing my chest. And I remember thinking, yes, would love to have a heart attack. But needless to say, I'm still here. And so now what'll be? That's where I'm at 4 years. Now what do I do? But it's been the grief process has been awesome.
On the hardest days, what helped you just take the next step forward?
I give myself a lot of grace. So in the first year after she died, one of my friends had said, knowing that I'm a personal trainer, so I kept working, and I could go to work and be my work person, and then I would want to cry for about 4 or 5 hours, and I would watch TV, a lot of TV, because I could be somewhere else, I could be in their world, I could leave this reality and go into somebody else's reality. And working was incredibly difficult, but also incredibly important for me because I got to leave Harmony, the grieving mother, and become Harmony, the personal trainer. And I loved it. And I got to be a different person. It was all about them. They didn't ask me how I was doing. I asked what they were doing. And what are you doing about this? It was all about them. And I loved that focus on them for a little while because it wasn't on me for a minute. Because I wasn't me. I was nothing. I was the goo in the hallway, but they were still. And I stopped doing group fitness. I did just personal training after that. And that was great for me. It worked out well because I could handle one person, but it would emotionally drain me. These would be out. So then, anyways, this friend of mine had said, what do you do? As a personal trainer, what are your goals? And I'm like, brush my teeth. That was my goal. And she's like, no, like after you brush your teeth. I'm like, no, that's not like go to work, brush my teeth before I go to work. Get dressed to go to work. And that's it. That's all I required of myself. So I had grace. I was PTSA president at Riverton High School when my daughter died. I only missed one meeting, and that was the week that she died. And I finished out all those things that I had to do. I was on Trek. I was on the Trek team for food. I finished out those duties. And my other volunteer work with our church, I told the bishop, I said, you don't have to release me, but you can't rely on me. I can't be reliable. I need to go into it. I did what I had to do to close everything down, finish PTSA president, finish the treks. I closed everything down. And then I said, I have to just let me go by my emotions. And if I feel like I can be next to a person today, I'll do that. And if I feel like I can't, then I won't. And I don't want any judgment either way. I can't do either thing. So I gave myself a lot of grace. I didn't require a lot of myself. I still went to work. But I work part-time, less than part-time. I have a mom job. So my main thing that I tried to do other than brushing my teeth was to not let my children lose their sister and lose their mother. I actually had 3 rules that I had made for myself. One was no drinking, and no drugs. So I was going to do no alcohol and no drugs now. I didn't do alcohol or drugs before. So that was theoretically an easy thing to do, but it was actually really hard. I wanted to drink so bad. And you're talking to somebody who doesn't even know. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how to order a drink. Um, uh, I'm sure I could figure it out, but, um, like, that was what I remember being thirsty. I just wanted to escape the pain. Just give me a moment without pain. And because it was so physically painful, it's shocking that your body still works. And so that was one of my goals. I don't judge anybody else. Anybody else does whatever they need to do. That's fine. But for me and myself, those were my two things. And then my other thing was to not be a hoarder because I could tell that I wanted to like bring everything in, hold everything in tight so nothing could get away. And I also wanted to escape, but nothing else could escape. And so I had those rules, and thankfully, it was hard, but I did those because I knew that if I started drinking, I didn't think I'd ever stop. And then my children would lose them. I would be a drunk. I no doubt that I would be an alcoholic because who would ever want to leave that, right? I would want to be there, stay there because I know it's on the outside. No, look, I'll just stay drunk all the time. And but I didn't want my children to lose that, and I still had three living grandchildren at the time, and Atlas, who is my daughter's child, I was highly involved with him, and so he still came to me. He still crawled into my bed at night, that kind of thing, and so I had to be there for him to do that. So I had to push away a lot of my grief, and there's actually another reason why I had to push away my grief. So January of 2022, about 2022 is when everything went down. I'm from a family of 6. Family had been estranged or moved away or whatever, and it was my brother and I that were highly involved. And my big brother said, if mom dies first, I'll take dad. Dad dies first, you take mom. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, my parents are aging. They were 74, 77, and 73, whatever. And so in January, it said to my mom, what do you think about our custody agreement that Creighton and I have? And she goes, well, I think that would be all right. And I'm like, okay, well, what would you want to do? And she goes, well, I think, how there's that little piece of land next to it. I think I'd want to build a house there. And I was like, what? You would sell our childhood home? Mom, we've been here for 45 years. This is the house I grew up in. What if I screw up? My childhood home will be done. I'll have no backup, right? So I'm like, oh my word, I call my brother. Creighton, did you know that mom wants to sell our childhood home if dad dies? Oh, it took like a month to get over that. We had that conversation because a week after my daughter was buried, my mom calls and says that fell and hit his head. They were in Virginia at the time because they were at my aunt's funeral, and he died the day of my aunt's funeral. He fell in the parking lot and his head and is dead. And so we all fly out to Virginia, and I tell my family I can't do this. Just buried my child a week ago. I'm the mush in the hallway. Why are you guys talking to me? And my brother wouldn't do it. I said, wait. He's like, no, this is what we agreed upon. I'm like, things change. My daughter just died. He's like, no, I can't do it. I'm going to have to take care of my mother-in-law, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're the best person. I'm like, no, I can't do this. Nobody else would do it. And so my mom says, I want to sell the house. And because my dad didn't give my mother any money except for what was in the house, they didn't have enough money to bury my father unless they sold the house. So they had to sell the house. And this was in May of 2022 when the interest rates were at 2%. By the end of the month, they were like at 6%. So the housing market was crashing and all this other kind of stuff. And so we're like, sell the house now. Sold the house. She moved in with me. And lo and behold, who has to build her new house? Now, I can't afford that. But my mother is paying for it all. She wants to build it on my property. Anyway, it fell on me. I'm the general contractor. I could do it, and I could do it way faster. And so I had said, okay, so I'm not allowed to have any grief. I pulled it together for everybody else. So I packed it down as hard as I could. And she wasn't dead anyway, so it didn't matter she wasn't dead. Packed it down, and Dad's just at work. Don't worry, pack it all down. Mom's moved in. That's weird. But it's okay, pack it down. And so my mom moved into my house, and she used to tell me, she used to be like, "Sid, am I annoying you?" And I would be, called it staring, because it was a weird thing that happened that I didn't even know I was doing it until when the neighbor says, "Oh, I know the staring." You know the stare? That's how I knew she had been through major loss. Um, because you stare and it turns off everything. You just are gone. You don't feel anything. You're just gone, staring. And so I was staring, and my mom says, I just feel like, am I bugging you?" And I'm like, and it's like somebody pulling me up out of the water. And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about, Mom?" And she goes, "Well, I just see that you're not happy." And I'm like, "Mom, my daughter just died. I know your husband died, but my daughter just died." And everybody else in the family's like, "Oh, David's dead." And I'm like, who freaking cares? He's 77 years old. I do care. I do love my dad. I was close to my dad, all that kind of stuff. It's annoying that he's dead, but it's also like not terribly out of order. Anyway, my daughter's death eclipses everything. There's nothing in comparison. It's like saying to that jelly in the hallway, having my dad die is like chopping off my hand. Well, you can chop off my hand with the jelly in the hallway. I won't even notice because I'm the jelly in the hallway. So yeah, I'm sad that my dad died, and people would call this complicated grief. I get complicated grief because 1, it was by suicide. 2, it was out of order, etc. 3, I had another death immediately after, 3.5 weeks apart. And then a year after that, my brother died. I think this is the same brother who refused to outlive my mom. Big stuff. Good thing he said no, I guess. But anyway, yeah. And so the initial question even was, oh, how do I deal with it though?
Yeah.
How do I deal? Okay. So at first, there's no good days. So when somebody says, "I'm having a bad day," that's when you go, "You have bad days? That means you have good days?" So there's no good days. So there's no bad days and there's no good. They're all bad days. And when you start to wake up out of you're a zombie. The first year or 2, you're a zombie. People talk to you, but you don't know what they're saying to you. And, or at least for me. And then, all that packing down, I knew it had to come out of some. I knew I had to deal with these. I knew I had to feel them. And I would plan times to feel them. And it would be in the shower. It would be while swimming. It would be in the car. The car, I would have to say, is the biggest one. You get in the car, and it was like you're all alone for a minute. Nobody's going to come knock on your window. Hopefully not, anyway. And then you're alone for a minute, and that shell that you've put up that is so heavy, it's just like cement pouring down on your dude body in the hallway. And the cement dissolves away for a moment, and all you feel is all the pain. And you could just bawl the ugly cry in the car. Oh, every time I get in the car, it was ugly cry. And it would, it hurt so good. And then you'd have to, your 3-year-old needs you. You put that back on and you go be a smiley face. Your 22-year-old is having a hard time and you are, I'm still going to be a good mom because you have no other choices, And so you do what you have to do as parents. You know that you do what you have to do. How many times have you been so dead tired and they're puking on you? You get up and you take care of it. you know? And so you just do that. About a year and a half after she passed away, by this time, my goal was to have my mother's house built at the 1 year mark because I'm like, I can hold it. I can hold it. It's like holding back a dam. I felt like I have this dam and this water is getting higher and higher and higher as I pack it all down, it's getting higher and higher. And I know it's going to come out and break the dam, right? And it's going to be a meltdown. It's going to destroy the town underneath it. It's going to destroy everything if I don't care. If I do not have a controlled release, this dam is going to break and destroy everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in April. It has to be done by April. I got my mother's house done. 4 months. The house, 4 months. And I was like $22 under budget.
Oh,
Sure. And then I let my dam break. And at first, the dam didn't want to break at first. And that dam breaking is a scary thing, right? It's going to destroy everything. Did I be around with people when I do? No, probably not. So I found time alone. And for me, that's when I started canoping by myself. So I'll go for the whole weekend and I'll be alone. Nobody. The dog is an annoyance, but I do the dog because my husband really wants me to have somebody there. But at first, I didn't even bring a gun with me because it probably would have been dangerous for me to bring a gun with me for myself. And there was a time when I did tell my friend that because I knew that it just sounded so wonderful. It's just the most beautiful thing ever. I don't know anybody doesn't want to die. That's the most gorgeous thing to think. That's like the thing we work our whole lives for. That's what we're like going towards is death.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So for me, it was I needed time alone, and I discovered that writing was really helpful for me. And so I just like vomit on the paper. Sometimes I'll share that on Facebook. Uh, I went through for the most part I still pat down most everything because I can't handle it all at once. And so I do distraction. I build things, do projects. When I realize that I'm being overwhelmed, I get into a project. If it's not a time that I can take off it, I need to do a project and have a different focus. So I'm distracting from it. But hey, my house is getting more finished rather than that. A lot of people distract with shopping. You know, I mean, for sure, retail therapy is a thing. Me some retail therapy. Right now, I'm on a vacation kick. Like, all I want to do is cruise all day long. If I could do a 21-day cruise back to back, I would be like all over that. That's the best thing ever because when I go off on my cruise, like, I forget. I become a different person. Although I did go to Hawaii this summer after my daughter died, and it followed me everywhere. There was no escaping. And I still, even if I'm cruising or whatever, I always know when somebody says, "Oh, I didn't want to bring up your daughter." Oh, please bring up my daughter. I'm going to cry through it, but it just gave me a chance to talk about my daughter. In this situation, I was like, yes, I would like to talk about her because I think it's really important to hear her story and to know her story and to know when you realize that she was sick before her child died. You realize that her child died too. She lived 5 years after her child died. And I think she's amazing too. She's just so much stronger than I think I'll ever be. I might have low emotions, but I think it takes a much stronger person to have a lot of emotion.
So, do you find those moments of light? Have you experienced something that you say, okay, it's still a bad day, but I can see some light.
So
It's make me happy.
I call them moments of joy. And we start looking for me, I did start looking for moments of joy immediately after she died, even when I was in the twilight zone. The moments of joy are small. They are the little tiny, tiny things. I remember one of my first moments of joy was sitting on the toilet. I look over to the side and I have an octopus toilet paper roll holder. it's an octopus and it's holding my toilet paper. And I think, it's fine. The octopus is holding my toilet paper. It was a moment. It's just a millisecond. But for that moment, I found joy in the octopus holding my toilet paper. You know, it's those little tiny things. These are not big things. They're not as big as a person. I'm not finding necessarily joy in person, joy in the smile of my grandson. I love that smile, but at that time, it's so in a mix. It's this smile that my daughter never gets to see. It's too mixed in. It dealing with people. So as a yoga instructor, when I try to get people into meditation, we'll do a mantra and I'll tell them not to include people. It's mantra because people are too complicated. There's so much emotion with somebody else. Even something as beautiful as a grandchild, there's so much emotion. Why don't I get to see Roman smile? What would his smile look like? Do you see how like all these sorrow and joy too? And I would have to say those little tiny moments is where they start. They're little. They're oh, look at that red bird outside. Oh, that's such a bright red. That's your joy that you saw. Bright red. That's the only joy that you saw. And so they're little tiny moments, but they're there. And I think sometimes that's what we have to hold on to.
Okay. What has helped you to slowly reconnect with life again?
That's a good question. Getting to know who I am has been because you don't know how to reconnect with life if you don't know who you are. What do you like? How do you like to communicate? Who are your people? Who are not your people? What do you like to do? Is this your favorite color now? I mean, you don't know any of those things. So going back to the goo in the hallway, I remember it was about a year and a half, 2 years, probably about 2 years after she died, that I realized that I was called a burrowing spider. You know, there's like the little hairy spider that curls up and they like bury themselves. And they can like peek out an eyeball and then bury themselves again. That's what I felt like. So I could peek out with an eyeball. So like with the goo, like I was forming a consciousness and an awareness because that's gone. At first, there is no consciousness. There is no awareness. There is no world. There's just weird things happening around you, but you can't make sense of it. And so eventually, over probably in that second year, I started to comprehend that I'm not dead, that she is dead, and I'm still here. And I have consciousness. Like, well, look at me, I'm thinking. And you start, it's still very, very self-centered at first. And that's actually one of my goals is that I'm going to start thinking. That's actually why I responded to your Italian, who's part of my harmony. You work on being nice to people and talk to people because I recognize that when you're just discovering your own consciousness, you can't think about other people. Other people's grief. People will try to give me their grief, and I couldn't carry their grief. I can't carry my own. I can't carry yours. People would say, "Oh, my child is suffering from depression too," and I'd be, "Oh, like I can't do that. That's way bigger. Sorry, but I can't help you because I wasn't in a position to even help myself at that point." And but anyway, so when you start to reconnect with people, I would say I'm deep in that process currently. Like, so what do I do to help reconnect? So, like, first of all, I had to become conscious, and then I had to become self-aware of myself. And this self-awareness is interesting because it's like meeting a stranger. I have discovered that although I like that about making a post about it, about things that haven't changed, the things that have changed. And some of the things that haven't changed for me is I'm still an optimist. I know I sound all sad right now, but that doesn't scare me. But I listen to a situation and I still naturally find the good thing in it. And my husband is still naturally a pessimist. And so I still have optimism. It's not something I still have. Um, I'm not, the peopling has been the most interesting thing for me. Peopling has been super, like, and I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not exactly sure what's changed. Am I an introvert now? Because so for New Year's Eve, my husband says to me, "Hey, do you want to go to our friend's New Year's Eve party or do you want to stay home?" And I'm like, "This is my choice. Stay home, please. I would like to stay home." And his face droops and I'm like, "Hey, stay, hey, I go out, go with you. I don't like to go to the store. I don't want to go to activities. I also don't really care about anybody else." And so that's something I'm working on. Mhm. Because I have to I'm giving myself grace. And then also, who the crap am I? Like, oh, you don't like that anymore? Like, I don't really like the color purple anymore. Purple used to be my thing. No, I like kind of green. But it's interesting that I'm even having those thoughts. Do I like to cook? Maybe. Do I still do active things? Thought of doing a race. Being around all those people, I can live bike ride by myself alone, you know? And so, reconnecting with people, I am making a conscious effort, such as answering your texts. I am also reaching out. In fact, this week was first time that I went out with a friend that I know has asked me to go out several times, and I've just been like, I still turn down most people when they say, "Hey, do you want to go do lunch?" And I'm like, is the lunch because there's something we have to discuss, or is this just a friendly chat? Nope, nope, I don't want to do it. Um, and so that reconnecting with people, I'd have to say I'm not there yet, but my thought process towards it is I need to look outside of myself and peek out of that hole. Um, and I need to care about other people, be nice to other people. Like I had one time I had somebody stop by and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I feel like I should stop by more often." And me and my alternate reality, I go, "Oh, please don't. I don't actually want any visitors. It's so much stress on me. I'd rather nobody ring my doorbell."
Do
Like, I said it right to his face. And
sorry.
Mark is standing right there.
Yeah.
Mark goes, "You can go inside." I'm like, I don't want to be rude. And then he's like, "You're okay, go inside." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going inside." And the thing is it didn't even comprehend to me that it was
And
like, I was just like, "No, I don't want anything." But that's one of the things, like my husband normally is an introvert, normally does not want to see people. And he has been meeting people so much more. Now, why? Psychologically interesting. Because is it because I don't want to people, whereas I'm normally the Tigger in the relationship. I'm bouncing around and I'm doing a million things and I've got all these plans and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And now I'm like, oh, stay home. Let's binge watch TV. Or I'll just sit here and read this book. I care what you do. It's fine. And so is he missing that? But he noticed it right away. Like within a couple of months after Symphony died, he's like, "We need to go out." I'm like, "Do we?" Like, "We do need to go out." I also don't even want to go to Home Depot. I send you to Home Depot, and I love Home Depot. But he made me go on a double date with another couple who had lost a child, and I just wanted to put it. When I got home, I was so exhausted. How could I be so exhausted? Going to church was exhausting. Being around people it would, it was like I had this much emotional ability and talking to a person or being in the presence of another human being. And I just couldn't, I would be emotionally drained. And these people weren't doing anything wrong. Nobody was mean. Everybody is nice. And then my husband had the exact opposite. So as far as grief goes, what's the right thing to do? Man, that's hard because and I would have never thought that I would have responded like that. And so one of my goals is to be nice to people and to think about how other people feel.
Yeah.
Well, talking about that, I don't want to put you in a situation where you think you need to give an advice or something like that. But for someone listening right now, we are all gonna go through grief at some point.
We all
If we
will.
haven't. So,
Life.
what do you think for someone that is completely broken right now? What is something you can say that they may help at some point? Something we need to understand about grieving.
I would have to say it's okay to be broken. I think take that broken time, be broken. You don't have to fix it. And I mean, like you look at my situation and I had to fix it at some point because other people needed me. We all have to bring it together. And if you have to put on that mask for just a little while, then that's what you have to do. But then as soon as you can take off that mask, then be broken. Let yourself be broken. So I have a theory on this because I've thought about it a lot, is that we have to feel our emotions. That's one of the reasons why alcohol is such a dangerous thing, is because it numbs it so that you don't feel it. When you get off of it, you then will have those emotions. Are there times when you go, I have to put on my mask, I have to go and do this? Yes. And whatever you decide to do, it's fine when you have to get through what you have to get through. Most of us still have to work. You have to provide for yourself. Maybe you have to change your job. You can't do that anymore. I no longer do group fitness. I really enjoy one-on-one personal training. And so that works out great for me, but my job did change a little bit. But I would have to say, feel feelings. Do not hide from them. I understand. We all distract for a while. I distract for a while. And I'm not saying I do as best, but for me, I would do the distractions and then I would also like allot myself time and I would feel it building up. You feel like that breakdown coming. You know, you can feel it coming. And so I call it controlled release. I'll go sit in my car, have a controlled release, and I can make myself have a controlled release by listening to music. So there's certain songs. I have a playlist that is my symphony playlist. And every time I listen to it, I fall, baby, because it just takes me right back there. And it allows my controlled release. But also when you're broken, it's okay to be broken. You don't have to wait for control release. I bawled in front of people all the time. When I was building my mother's house, I'm in the building department talking about, permits and whatever. And the secretary asked me a question. I try to swallow it down because I know it's not the appropriate place. And then I decide that, Harmony, you need to work on how to have feelings and have conversation at the same time. So work on that, talking and fun at the same time. So, and not being afraid to cry. And I'm normally not an emotional person, so the crying thing is a bit weird for me. But, it's not weird. I'll be at the grocery store and I'll be like, oh, I don't buy enough for her. And now I'm crying because I saw a mint that I know that she likes. That kind of stuff. But being broken, beautiful. It's just fine to be broken. Being broken is being real. And I think it's okay to allow yourself the grace. I did do that. I said, don't rely on me. I'm going to be broken over here in the corner. Don't ask me questions because I don't know. And I was able to put my mask on, which is what I needed to do. And then I would go and distract and be broken. And I like to be broken alone. Not everybody likes to be alone, but I personally like alone broken. And so that's when I go out to go camping by myself. And that's where I can go and be alone broken. I can lay in bed. I can do whatever I want. I eat when I'm hungry. It's just nobody's relying on me. I can just be broken because as parents, I'm not allowed to be broken all the time. I have to put on that mask some of the time. I would say the mask is normal. We all put on a mask. Even when you're not broken, we put on a mask sometimes. Be like, and now I'm doing this because you've got to do it.
Yeah.
So being broken is beautiful. Let yourself be broken.
Okay, and how can we show up better for people who are grieving? Because it's hard when you want, I don't know if help, but support, or like to be there. And how how do you think that we can do better to support people going through that?
I would say at first, don't fix it. You can't fix it. One thing, you can't fix it. And number two, you shouldn't fix it. That broken is okay. And when you see your loved one who is broken, family or friend, let them be broken. Don't try to fix it. That would be my biggest thing. And that's really hard because, just like I did with my daughter when she was little, she's crying. I don't know why she's crying. Well, are you hurt? Do I need to do this? Are you hungry? Are you cold? What is it? Are you sick? What? Tell me what it is and I will fix it and then you can be happy. Grief is not like that. It's okay to be broken, and it's also okay not to fix it, and it's not your job to fix it. Also, why would you want to fix it? Because grief can look ugly from the outside. I don't want anybody to take my grief away from me. My grief is what I have. And the challenge is to learn to have grief and joy same time. My moments of pure joy are over. I will never have them again. And that's okay. But that would be my biggest thing is when people come in and try to fix, I think you don't understand and go away. And when they come in and ask me questions, whoa, how are you? What do you think? What is that question? How are you? No, but really, how are you? Well, I'm still disappointed I woke up this morning, but I have to. And, like, I wish so bad I could have a brain in. So right now, while you're asking me this question, listen, yeah, don't ask them how they're doing. But then also, so my favorite ways that people supported me, they would send me texts. And then the text messages did not require a response. No requirement. They were not asking anything of me. When you ask somebody a question, you're asking something of them. When you share your heartache, you're asking them to share your heartache. So that you're asking them to help carry something with you, and you're not in that position to do that. Maybe some people are. I wasn't. And then, yeah, so they would just send me text up. I'm thinking of you. That was. I had only one friend send me a text this year on my daughter's birthday, which date's a big deal to some people. Some people it's not. My body knows the date before I know the date, which is fascinating to me too with the whole grief thing. Cause like I'll start feeling really teary and I'll be like, what is it? Why can't I think straight? What's going on? I'm losing my words again. And I'll realize, oh, it's January. January is probably the hardest month right next to April. April's probably harder. I don't know. They're both really hard, but those 2 months are really hard. Spills over into Mother's Day because when your child dies by suicide, Mother's Day sucks. Like, you wish it. So I actually told my husband, it's not nothing about Mother's Day. It's really big. Nothing to do with Mother's Day. Because it's just, and it's hard for a lot of people, I understand, but my husband's like, no way, Mother's Day is amazing. They celebrate me, But anyway, yeah, don't ask of them. And yeah, that would be my advice is don't ask of them. Don't take it away. I still have a friend who tries to fix it. She says, well, I just want my old friend back. Your old friend died. There's me that's left. And she's like, well, I just don't want you to be sad anymore. I'm like, why would you take that away from me? Let me be sad. So just like I said, it's okay to be broken. It's okay to let others be broken. We don't have to fix it. And also, what the crap are we doing here on earth? We're all here to have emotions and to have relationships and to be broken. It's okay to be broken. Could you imagine if you lived your whole life and never were broken? What a boring life you have. So why are we trying to fix it? Nah, just be broken.
But Of course, we understand this experience changed your life,
Oh,
lit- but did it change the purpose of your life?
yes. I would say that's that's been the hardest part because I don't have a purpose. I don't, I don't know my purpose right now. When she died, I used to feel like I have to be strong for her because if I had died before her, out of order, if I had died young, I think it would have destroyed it. I think it would have been really hard, and she would have used it as an excuse to kill herself. I know that she stayed alive. A lot of the reason why she stayed alive was for me. She told me that one time we were at a group for loss of a child after Roman died, and she says, "I just don't want mom." So I'm like, please don't make me feel this. I do not want to know. I know losing Roman was really hard. Was really hard, and I don't want to. I don't want to know what she felt. Do but um, but so when she, I'd run into old friends and they're like, "How's Symphony?" That's the first question that everybody would say to me. "Oh, she's still dead." So that doesn't really change that much. Although I have to admit, I am thinking about doing a part of my connecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Birds trying to connect the world again. I'm thinking about doing how everybody does their seasonal letters, their Christmas letters, their holiday letters. I'm going to do them, but I'm going to include Symphony. And in Symphony, yep, she's still dead, but we saw this sign or this sign. I felt like she was with us here or whatever, or she would have loved this so that I can keep her alive because when we stop talking about her, that's that's when there's no more her anymore, And so I want to keep talking about her anyway because it keeps you alive. But yeah, I forgot what to say.
Yeah. Okay. So where do we find strength now? It's in your family. It's in your work.
What do I what?
Where do you find strength
Mm.
now?
I'm still numb.
Okay.
I'm still numb. I'm still going about things because I should. It's muscle memory. I'm not I'm not excited about anything in particular. I'm still living in the constant fear of constant change. That's the one thing is everything's changing. That sweet little 3-year-old is now 7.
Yeah.
He preferred me over everybody, and now he prefers his dad. And that's a loss.
Yes.
Life in this world is only about change. Yesterday is not the same as today. Every relationship will change. Every person you see will die. Every I mean, like, death is real. I have this one friend who I actually don't spend that much time with anymore because her view is so disconnected to me that I think, I think we're all living in this fake world, but I'm at least aware of the fake world. She thinks it's real. And I think that it's kind of like um, on the Matrix. The people who are in the Matrix who believe that's the real thing and there's no other Matrix, you kind of are like, oh, you don't know about reality yet. And that is reality. And she, her husband's I think turning 70 this year or next year. And I said, "Oh, so what do you have planned? Do you have do you have both of your names on everything? And it should always be or you should have your trust account done. What do you have planned?" And she's like, "Oh, he's not that." But that's crazy. He's 100% going to die. Like 100%. There's no way of getting out of this. And anyway, so for me, I'm still numb. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I am trying to look outside of my hole and but I don't find the joy in it yet. I try to find joy. My grandchildren are fun to watch and that they're gone. And they will be gone anyway because they'll die too and grow up. And also Gigi is only so cool when they're 2, you know.
Awesome. Well, finally, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Give me a chance to chat about something. I feel bad leaving it on a negative note, but we all do what we have to do. And I do find joy in the world. I haven't found my purpose yet, but I enjoy my work. That's nice. I enjoy the grandkids, and I enjoy how I live next door. So there are still moments of joy. I still work on smiling every day. Yeah, so I don't even believe that there's no hope.
Oh, sure.
There is. It does get easier to carry, but if there's anything I would say is that the grief never leaves. You always have it, but somehow you get used to carrying it. And so it's not that it's lighter, it's that maybe we get stronger. That's the positive way of looking at it. But I think we get used to carrying around that extra weight. And so I've gotten used to carrying it. It's a beautiful thing. I love my grief. I'm not hiding from my grief. Sometimes I'm like, grief, you have to wait a minute. But I'm trying hard to learn how to have joy and grief at the same time because it's okay to laugh and cry at the same thing.
This doesn't have a timeline and it doesn't look the same for everyone. But conversations like this remind us that we're not alone and that even in pain, there can still be love, meaning, and hope.
To everyone struggling with the loss of a loved one or any kind of grief, please know there are support groups, there's therapy, so don't hesitate to ask for help. Thanks for joining our episode of Chat Mate. I will see you next week.
Bye.